So guys, this is our last site of the day. So not only is it a very historic site, but it's a place where we can have Jerusalem and the Lord make its final stamp upon us. I want to share with you a couple of historical facts about the place that we're at, just so you can feel a little bit oriented when we go inside. A lot has changed over the last 1700 years in terms of this church. We were at the Church of the Nativity earlier this week. Was that the day before yesterday? That was the day before yesterday. Wow. And I told you that it was built in 333 AD. And then it was destroyed and rebuilt in the 7th century. Here, this place has been through a couple more rebuilds than the Church of the Nativity. This church was originally built in 335 AD under the same leadership of Queen Helena. However, there's something unique about this site that the Church of the Nativity didn't have, which really can spur your curiosity about the site itself. Prior to the building of this church, this was actually a pagan shrine. And prior to this being a pagan shrine, this was an ancient Jewish graveyard outside of the city walls of the Jerusalem of Jesus' time. Now, why would a Roman emperor choose to build a shrine upon an ancient Jewish graveyard? Well, history tells us that it was because the Christians worshipped here. Why would the early Christians worship here in an ancient Jewish graveyard outside of the city walls, where they have also found evidence of a garden? That's what's so special about this site, is that we have a chain of tradition going back to the first Christians of the Jerusalem area that holds this to be the place of Jesus' death and burial and resurrection. So you don't miss what this originally looked like when you get inside, I want to just kind of ready you. When you go through the door, you'll see something called the slab of anointing. It doesn't date to the time of Jesus. It's just a traditional place of Jesus' anointing. But to your right is an ancient mount that stood just outside of the original city gates, and there was this was a traffic zone. And on that mount, crucifixions would take place. To your left, you'll see something called the Archeological. It is a modern structure built around an ancient tomb. This, to your left on the inside, would have been tombs. You'll notice that you can walk all the way around the Archeological today. When Helena found it, that wasn't the case. They actually carved around the back of the tomb and made a tunnel around it so that people could come in and begin to visit the tomb. Now, people wanted to take relics home with them as they became pilgrims to the city of Jerusalem. So over time, the tomb began to shrink in size. And for that reason, the Archeological, which is the ornate structure built around it today, is now there. So the reason I wanted to give you this explanation is so you can kind of peel those layers back when you get inside and try to envision this as an ancient Jewish graveyard that had a mount. This originally, before it was a Jewish graveyard, was a quarry in which they dug bricks out to build the city. And so it's very possible that this mount had holes in it, just as what you saw the other day at the Garden of Gethsemane, in which there would have been something like a skull on the face of it. So in terms of just historical value, this site is really exciting for archaeologists, for scholars of history, especially church history. And so I wanted to kind of do that because when you get inside, over time, this place has become not the most favorite spot for Protestants like you and I to visit. But if you can peel back those layers, it'll take you back in time to what this originally was, and it is an exciting thing. One thing that I will mention to you that's also a recent discovery or a recent affirmation about this site. They've always wondered, do we have any scientific data that would confirm or validate that this was a new tomb used in the time of Jesus according to the Gospels? Because it says Joseph of Arimathea had a new tomb that had not been used that Jesus was laid in. Well, just in 2017, they lifted the slab that lays in the tomb of Jesus, which is a more modern slab, and underneath it is the original slab which the bodies were laid on, and they dated it to the 1st century. So all of the just things that point to the historical value of this site does make it a very exciting place.
You coming out? Yeah, all right.
Quickly, no time, it's closed.